Hey, Dead Fred, check out the new anbernic RG35XX SP. It is a Game Boy Advance clone that's like, what? This, Dead Fred, that's not it, man. No, we got it right here. It looks really good and awesome. And Dead Fred, that's still not it. That's actually a Game Boy Advance SP. Well, let's get to the real unboxing. Let's look at the actual unit. Let's go. Top 7 answers on the board. We asked 100 people, what is the best handheld game? No, wait, that's not me. I'm not Steve Harvey. Anyways, Deadheads, welcome back to the channel. Or welcome for the first time, new Deadheads. Today, we're doing our unboxing and first look impressions of this, the anbernic RG35XX SP. It is a great device. Everybody's raving about it. So stay tuned and look and see what we think about this as we open and explore this new handheld for the very first time. Remember to hit that like button and subscribe. Also, join us in the community. We've got a great community growing, a lot of banter going on. You guys are generating a lot of great content amongst each other. You're helping each other. It really makes my heart happy. So thank you guys for all of that. Dead Fred is very happy. Anyways, let's hop into this impressions video. Let's get going. All right, let's get this unboxing going. So, as usual, anbernic has done their typical box. Again, I do like that they have this inline silver, so that's pretty nice here. It does look nice. This is a shorter box because, of course, this folds, and this is a shorter device when it's folded. The RG35XX SP, so I like their packaging design. Over here we have the 4 colorways that they're currently offering, the silver, the gray, the blue transparent, and the black transparent. We do have the blue transparent here. Somebody check-marked it as they packaged it. And nothing else much on the box except this little information right there. So let's get this thing open. And there's our unit. Let's get that out of the way. And this is typical. There's a tray down here, and below this we have our manual and then our charging cord. So let's see, this is probably our typical USB C to C, or it could be A, but let's find out what kind of cord we have in here in typical anbernic fashion. So we do have A to C. So probably I would recommend to use this cord or use A to C. I'm sure C to C can work, but you know, with these units, who knows? Maybe stay on the safer side to do that. Our manual, it's our typical manual, nice color, folded. We do have both Mandarin and English as usual. And we do have some indicators here of the battery light charging function, the interface. This is using the same software setup that we've seen on the other H700 units, so nothing different here really to expect, except it does have that shutting magnetic Hall sensing lid, so that's one thing that's different here. So nothing else going on in the box, and let's get this guy open and let's get some first impressions here. And this has the typical cover. Normally this has the little cutouts or whatever for the holes, but this thing's folded, so nothing there. And immediately, yeah, this is nice. This feels nice. It looks nice. If we compare this to the OG, you can see right here that they're just about, about as identical, I think, as anbernic could get in the form factor and size. The thickness, everything right here is just pretty much very similar to do it. We open up our Game Boy Advance, open up our anbernic, and you can see, you know, of course, side by side here, we do have the same sort of layout. We have the extra buttons. This doesn't have an extra shoulder buttons, but man, it's almost like they just took this and updated it. So if Nintendo was going to sell this updated with a faster chip, could do more, a little bit bigger screen, that's what this guy would be right here. Holding the original Game Boy, which, man, is bringing so much nostalgia back to me. As soon as I pick this up, bam, it just feels very similar, like we're holding the same sort of thing. So let's take a tour of this real quick. So on the bottom, we do have our 2 card slots typically. So your OS is on this one, and this is a second slot for extra games. We do have a headphone jack, headphone hole, so that's pretty good. Going to the side here, we do have our power button and our reset button, okay? And then on this side, we do have our volume rocker. On the back, we do have our HDMI port, our mini HDMI port, and then a USB-C port. And then you have your 4 shoulder buttons. So let's take a look at these shoulder buttons. They seem to be very similar with the different height here that we've seen on other anbernic devices. They feel pretty good. If I was to compare them to how these shoulder buttons feel, these feel more mushy, more, I don't know, mushy a little bit. These are a little bit more snappy firm, but it may be just because this is newer and that's an older Game Boy. Again, it's just amazing how the 2 of these things are just so close in shape and size and form factor that it's just really amazing. So much nostalgia. I did like the transparent one because you can open this top case and put stickers underneath that show through, or if you got the solid color, you know, you can add stickers on the outside of it for that. The D-pad feels like a typical anbernic D-pad. It's got a pretty good travel distance to it. Pretty good. Don't have any issues with it. As we do our full review later on this month, we'll try to see if there's any issues with the D-pad there. Now, there's been a lot about these buttons, these micro switch buttons, and how they function. And I gotta say, I kind of like them better. But if we're, you know, comparing to the RG35XX, I kind of like the buttons on that one. So, you know, I haven't made a decision yet early on as to which one I think is better here. But these buttons, there's been a lot of commentary about these buttons and about how well they're performing and what they feel like. So, you know, it could be an issue for you. Got the little speaker hole right here, and then we have our menu button right here as we bring up some Bloons. So we'll play a little PSP Bloons here, right here, just to get going. And so you can see here, I'm not very good at this game. Don't give up. But the D-pad, as far as a game like this, it's functioning fine. We'll do some Street Fighter testing on it when we do our full review. Again, this is just an unboxing and a first look. Not going to be a super long video. There's a ton of these videos out there. So I just wanted to do an initial unboxing and first look for you guys. And again, the software here is very typical to the 35XX 2024, the Plus, the H, the 2.8. So we're looking at the same CPU and pretty much the same software setup. A lot of the same custom firmware is going to be the same that's coming through on these devices. Let's just go in here and let's show the real star of the show, the software that really everybody is really impressed with, and that's, of course, some Game Boy Advance. So we'll play some Game Boy Advance here. Some Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but who doesn't like the turtles? And again, this thing is set up, if you use the RetroArch ones, it's going to have this overlay, it's going to have a shader already in there, and it just, again, it just really brings that sense of nostalgia, having that. I don't know if this could change colors. That would be really nice, kind of cool. You can hear that the speaker on this is pretty good, front-facing speaker. So it's pretty loud, so nice to hear. Again, you can use, you know, your typical headphones. Turn that down just a little bit. They did come with a screen protector, so love that, glad that they did that. And again, if I'm going to go back to the 90s, although this actually wasn't the 90s, this was the 2000s, but I'm a little older, and so maybe I just relate to the 90s more. But yeah, going back to this Game Boy Advance SP model and form factor and throwing in some turtles, this just brings a lot of nostalgia. So Deadheads, we're going to have our full review of this in the coming weeks. We're going to play through this, try to get a good idea of what flaws and limitations there are. No device is perfect, so there are some limitations, there are some flaws, of course, with any unit. But you know, you've probably seen a lot of the reviews. A lot of people are buying this. It is definitely a popular device. And I think that pretty much the consensus overall is that this is a favorable device. The price point is great. For the price you're going to pay to pick one of these up in good condition, you're going to be able to find this, and it's going to do a whole lot more. More modern. It's going to be able to play a whole lot more games and look good. And of course, you can do all kinds of things like your shaders and your overlays here. So yeah, it's a great device. Anbernic continues to innovate. I know they keep putting out a new device, seems like every once a month, which maybe even more than once a month. But it's really cool because there's such a lot of us that have nostalgia and want to play different things. And so there's a bunch of different form factors, and we continue to see new ways to enjoy the old things that we enjoyed in the past. So if you're on the fence about this, you know, wait for my full review. I'm going to try to find and, you know, see what limitations it does have, because obviously it'll have some. I can tell you the first one I know of is when you go all the way back. I didn't realize that coming down, I don't know if that's just my unit, that it'll fall back down. So Deadheads, tell me if that's all of them. But that's one thing that kind of annoyed me, is again, if I start leaning, it just does that. So again, that's a bit annoying. Don't like that, but it's going back further than this ever went anyways. So, you know, and this one, this hinge is kind of over time got a little loose. So again, there are some things about this, maybe the holding it long term. Again, there's a lot of discussion about the buttons here, whether they could be, you know, better. But again, you know, if you're sold on what you've seen from other videos, I think my video is going to match that and kind of just give the same consensus. This is a pretty cool device, Deadheads, I gotta admit. Anbernic really hasn't dropped the ball lately. They've certainly been around long enough and made enough devices to where I think that they've learned a lot, and they certainly are continuing to innovate and bring us more and more. So anyways, Deadheads, that's been a first impressions and unboxing video of the Anbernic RG35XX SP. That's a mouthful. And look for our full review in the coming weeks. We'll see you next time, Deadheads. Dead Fred out.